today that the US government had more than enough information to have prevented the failed Christmas Day bomber from even boarding an aircraft. He said the failure of all the agencies to share information was not acceptable and that we have to do better. In addition to listing further steps for improving the safety of air travel, he also put a hold on returning Guantanamo Bay detainees to the country where the suspect received his training. Our senior foreign affairs correspondent Martha Ravitz has spent the last 4 days in Yemen reporting on what may be the new front line in the war on terror.
We landed in Sana'a last Friday night knowing that suicide bombers were set to attack Yemen's capital. Since then, Yemeni forces have been aggressively pursuing AlQeada, killing 2 operatives just 20 miles away from where we're staying. The action is part of a series of strikes over the past several weeks from the ground and air aimed at clamping down on the group President Obama calls the newest threat to international security, AlQeada on the Arabian Peninsula, a group now flourishing in Yemen. It was here that Abdul Mudi was trained by AlQeada and equipped with the bomb before boarding that flight to Detroit Christmas Day. We tried to retrace his steps here in Sana'a, visiting the room where he lived while a student at an Arabic language center, and this is the 3rd floor room where Abdul Mudi spent most of his time while he was at the institute here in Yemen. Just a bed, a desk, a closet, and a view. A school where Muslim and non-Muslims alike take intensive Arabic. Susan Shen is a Christian from San Francisco.
Sometimes we have students who are devout Muslims who will not, male students would refuse to talk to or look at female students, and he wasn't like that.
But Abdul Mudi's Arabic was already very good. The school was likely a cover before he disappeared to an AlQeada training camp. Yemen is also thought to be where Anwar al-Awlaki is hiding. Al-Awlaki is the American-born Yemeni preacher who communicated with Major Nadal Hassan, the soldier who went on a shooting rampage at Fort Hood just 2 months ago. In an interview with Al Jazeera last month, al-Awlaki made clear what he now thinks about America. America today is the Pharaoh of yesterday. It is the enemy of Islam, he said. During this last week here in Yemen, it's become clear that if the mission here is to make this the new front in the so-called war on terror, it is going to be complicated. The country that has suddenly gained the world's attention provides fertile ground for AlQeada. Its mountains rise 4,000 feet above sea level in some areas. The villages are remote, and the few roads that do exist are difficult to travel. There are areas that are ungoverned. Poverty is extreme, and then there is the khat, a disgusting-looking green leafy narcotic that was stuffed into the cheeks of almost every male we saw today.
Put it in your mouth.
It's legal.
And you chew it. It's very, very legal.
It zones out a good deal of the population. Most of the country's precious water is used to irrigate it. Yet it is also a land of breathtaking beauty and age-old traditions. An old way of life contrasted by a far more modern one. There are streets crowded with cars, but other means of transportation are still popular. You see sexy lingerie in the shop windows, but almost every woman we see is fully covered, whether on the beach in 80-degree heat or in the city.
We like it. We are not irritated by it.
And the government the U.S. has had to ally itself with is weak, fighting wars on 3 fronts, to the north, to the south, and now with AlQeada. On Sunday, we flew to Aden to meet the nephew of the president, charged with running the security forces and anti-terrorism units here. Last week, the U.S. pledged $70 million in military assistance to help him with a task that has often been overwhelming. You're getting more U.S. trainers.
Every time things getting worse, we get support more.
And like it or not, Yemen's prime location offers great appeal to AlQeada to try to establish an even bigger base of operations. 40% of the world's crude oil passes through the Gulf of Aden, giving al-Qaeda greater incentive to fight hard to stay here. The people we talked to back on the streets of Sana'a told us they want nothing to do with al-Qaeda.
We hate al-Qaeda.
It is a disastrous situation, this man said. They may feel that way, but the leadership of al-Qaeda here are old hands in the terror business. One of them, Nasser al-Awashi, directed